Welcome to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, founder of the Reiki Business Collective and creator of the Build Your Reiki Business program, sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Greetings, welcome, and thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing. Of course, always honored and excited to have you here, so thank you so very much. In this week's episode, we're talking about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence for your Reiki business. Now, we did have an episode last year. It actually has been 1 year since our first episode on artificial intelligence, episode number 19. But I wanted to do another episode because, of course, things have changed. Of course, the products have improved, and the way in which I use artificial intelligence has changed in my Reiki business. And so I want to take some time to talk with you about that, to share with you how I am using artificial intelligence, and to help you determine if you want to use artificial intelligence in your Reiki business. Now, I'll drop the link to that episode number 19 down in the notes so that you can go there and tune in if you so choose, if you want to hear more about artificial intelligence. Now, when I talk about artificial intelligence, I'm primarily talking about ChatGPT. Of course, there are lots of different products out there for artificial intelligence usage, and ChatGPT isn't the only one. It is, however, the one that I use the most in my Reiki business. Okay, actually, it's the one I only use, the only one I use in my Reiki business, at least at this time. And so I'm going to talk with you a little bit about the way in which I use ChatGPT. I'll talk with you about some ways that you might want to use it on your Reiki business journey or not, and even some downsides to using ChatGPT in our Reiki business. So first of all, ChatGPT is now ChatGPT 4.0, where the O stands for Omni. This is an upgrade from the previous ChatGPT 3.5 version. And I asked ChatGPT, I said, what's the difference between 3.5 and 4.0? And it told me that the differences are faster response times, so it's faster. I have noticed this myself, although I will say that the speed between 3.5 and 4 is whatever. It's not that much of a difference, but I have noticed a difference. It apparently is better at understanding context and generating coherent responses. I'm not so sure about that. I'll talk about that in a minute. It is great for content generation and understanding more nuance and offering more detailed responses. It's better for having a broader knowledge base and correcting and recognizing its own mistakes, apparently, although, again, I'm not so sure about that. Now, one of the things that's interesting about the new ChatGPT 4.0 is that it has specialized chats. And so you can choose specialized chats for answering your questions, for chatting with it. So like there's a marketing one. There's a one called Planty that you can use for plant-based questions. I'm a gardener and I've used that a couple of times just to see what it says. So there are focused, specialized chat GPTs that you can use. So that's really interesting. And I asked ChatGPT, I said, what's the difference? What's the deal? Why bother using these specialized ones? And it just said that it just has a deeper depth of knowledge in that specialized topic, whereas ChatGPT has a greater breadth and width to its knowledge base. The specialized Chat GPTs have been trained in a much more specialized and focused way. Now, I'll tell you, sure, I might use Planty sometimes, but really, I just continue to use the good old-fashioned Chat GPT. So, how do I use ChatGPT in my Reiki business? Now, in last year's episode, I talked about how I use it for turning my transcripts from my videos, like from YouTube, for instance, or podcast episodes, into grammatically correct text. So, taking out the ums and the ahs and turning it into grammatically correct sentences and paragraphs. When I use ChatGPT in this way, and I do use it frequently in this way, this is my number one use of ChatGPT. I am always very clear about it. Do not change the text. Do not alter the tone. Do not add information. Do not take information out. All I want you to do, ChatGPT, is to just turn it into sentences and paragraphs, take out the ums and ahs, and make it grammatically correct. It shouldn't be that hard, right? But every single time, it does it wrong. And I will get more and more clear and more specific. And even with the new 4.0 version, it still has a hard time with this. I was just having a conversation with it the other day saying, hey, this is what I want. This is what I need. It didn't do it right. It summarized the text. It changed the wording. It did it add information? It actually may not have added information this time. So that's an improvement. But it clearly was not the original text. And so I went back into it and said, no, this is not right. I got even more clear with it, though really all I did was rephrase it, but in a different way. It messed it up again and again. And I was like, help me help you, ChatGPT. How do I explain this to you so that you can get it? So it told me exactly what to say, which is really what I was telling it to say anyway. And I copied and pasted that exact thing. It messed it up again. And so I finally said to it, listen, we're all done here. I was like, this task is not that hard. You should be able to do this. I don't understand why you're not getting this. And I'm using your instructions. And so that very, very simple task actually really surprises me that it can't handle and can't do. Eventually, it did get it right. I came back to it and I was like, all right, let's just try this again. And gave it the same exact instructions as before. And magically, it did a better job. And so what's fascinating is that like it took a podcast episode and it primarily did the whole thing correct except at the end. And it wrapped it up in a way that I never say. It was like, thank you for listening. I hope that this has been helpful. And I hope that this episode has been encouraging for you. And it's like, wait a minute, where's the blessings to your Reiki business? Like, you changed it. I can clearly see this is not the stuff that I would say. By the way, anytime ChatGPT throws the word crucial into my transcript, I know that they're adding things, because one thing I have noticed is that ChatGPT uses the word crucial so much, and I never use the word crucial. And it uses it all of the time. You ask it a question, it's like everything is crucial. And so ChatGPT, if everything is crucial, then nothing is crucial. But anyway, so that is primarily how I use it. Always, of course, making sure that it is not changing my wording and not changing my phrasing, because that is not what I want. What I use it for is to take my transcripts so that I can further edit them down cut things out, move things around, and make them into blog posts for my website. That's what I'm doing primarily with ChatGPT. And so it's a very specific use, but I very clearly do not want my wording to be changed because I want to be using my words, and I do not want it to be putting words into my text that I do not want and that are not my own. I don't want it to be adding things. I don't want it to be writing my material for me. And so this is my biggest frustration with ChatGPT, is that very simple task that I want to use it for and that I primarily use it for, it struggles with. And that's something that it really should not struggle with. Now, I will say that I tried Gemini. Gemini is Google's new AI tool. It replaces Bard. Bard was its first AI tool. I did try out Bard. You can hear about my experience with Bard on that episode number 19 from last year. And I thought, well, I'm going to give Gemini a try now that they have a new tool. And I will tell you that Gemini is not better than Bard. I'm sorry, Google, you are failing in the AI race. And Gemini even is not as good as at Bard at certain things. Bard could take directly from a website or a YouTube video and pull the transcript for you and pull from the video itself. Although Bard would mess it up all the time. I talk about that in the previous episode, but Gemini can't do that at all. So Gemini can't take from the web, and it really should be able to do that, especially because it's a Google product. And so my use with Gemini is very limited because it was just so like, this is a waste of my time. And I just went right back to ChatGPT. But I felt like I should give Gemini a try just so that I could check it out, see what I thought, and even to be able to tell you about it, that I don't think it's anywhere as good as ChatGPT. And obviously, you know that I believe ChatGPT has some issues. At the same time, ChatGPT has some real strengths for our Reiki business and some things that it is good at. Of course, it is good at generating text. And so if I wasn't providing it with my own text and I was just saying, hey, ChatGPT, write a script for me for a podcast episode, it would do that. It would write the whole thing for me. I'm sure it would throw in the word crucial. Something in that podcast episode would be crucial. But it indeed would do it, and would do it well enough. Now, I say well enough because anything that ChatGPT writes is going to be general. Of course, it's better and getting better and better at being more specific, of course. It will get better and better. But it's still very general, and it really lacks any kind of personality or any kind of individualization or really even any sense of humanness. Of course, you could tell ChatGPT to throw in some of those things, and you could tell it to create some personalization and to create some stories. It would do that. But I think that what's so much more powerful is our actual personal, real stories. But some other things that I have used ChatGPT for, and that I am using it for, is writing code on my website. This is something that I love about ChatGPT. And so if I have a particular need on my website, maybe I need a specific HTML code for something, I am not a coder. I have no idea how to write code, but ChatGPT does. And so I will ask it to write code for me, HTML code for something specific on my website, and it will do it. Now, I often have to go back and forth with it. Please change this, please alter this, but it works. it works. And so I love this about ChatGPT. If I need to make changes to my website involving HTML code, I don't need to call up a coder. All I need is to log into ChatGPT and it will write the code for me. So that's pretty amazing. Of course, it's not at the same level of a professional, but for certain things on my website, I don't need that. And so it's really helpful for writing code. Other things I like to use ChatGPT for in my Reiki business is offering feedback on my writing. Now, I have a master's degree in English. I taught English at the college level for many years, and so I'm very confident in my writing ability. And sometimes in my writing, I might sound like a college professor. And sometimes some of the words that I use might be a little obtuse. And so ChatGPT can help me sometimes with my wording or even smoothing out some of my wording in some places. This is not something that I frequently use it for because, quite frankly, I believe that our own personal style is important in our writing, and I believe it's important to honor that. And so I don't often alter my writing, but I will use ChatGPT to review some of my writing. I'm using it to take a look at some of the sections of my forthcoming book, Reiki Business Ready, and just saying, hey, how does this sound? And what do you think? And it can point out to me where my writing is uneven and doesn't sound the same consistently, because when we're writing, our writing is impacted by our mood, by our environment, by the things we have going on. And so I might be in one mood, a calm and peaceful mood, while I'm writing a piece of the book. And then I'm coming back the next day and writing a section, and I might be energized and excited. And that can impact the tone of those sections. And when we're writing a longer work like a book, it's really helpful to have the writing be consistent throughout. And so ChatGPT has called me out in a few places and been like, your writing is a little inconsistent in these spots. So that's been helpful. Some other things that I like to use ChatGPT for and that I will use it for is, again, along with my book, giving me an idea of how long my book is. So ChatGPT, this is how many words I have, how many pages would this be for my book, giving it, parameters, like if my book is this size, typical 6x9 paperback, how many words is this? So it's been really helpful for those kinds of things. One other way that I use ChatGPT, have been using ChatGPT in my Reiki business, is with the planning of the Reiki Business Summit. And so I'll just use it to bounce ideas off of, get feedback on. There was one particular question on the landing page I wanted to add in the brochure. And I was like, where is the right place to do this? I think it would be best to put it here. I'm not quite sure. Well, let's ask ChatGPT. One of the amazing things is with the new update, you can give ChatGPT a link. So I could give it the link to the Reiki Business Summit website, and it could scan the website and then offer a place to add the Reiki Business Summit brochure. And so it had the same. It was thinking the same thing that I was. And so it was helpful to get that kind of feedback from it for the Reiki Business Summit website. By the way, you can learn all about the Reiki Business Summit happening in November and get the brochure with all of the details at standingstoneshealing.com/summit. So I am using ChatGPT more in my Reiki business than I was 1 year ago. Let me give you one more example of how I use ChatGPT in my Reiki business and how I've recently used it. I was looking at an opportunity to spend some money in my Reiki business in one particular area. And I wasn't so sure if it was really the best use of that amount of money in my Reiki business, and thought, you know what, I'm going to ask ChatGPT. I was skeptical. I wasn't so sure, but ChatGPT crunched the numbers for me and said, listen, even at this conversion percentage rate, this very conservative percentage rate, your money could potentially, even with this very conservative rate, have the ROI to make the investment worth it. And so I was like, all right, ChatGPT, I'm still skeptical. I'm still not sure that the ROI is going to be there with this opportunity, but let me give it a try. Now, we don't know yet if it has indeed worked out, if it will work out. Fingers crossed that ChatGPT is right and I am wrong. I'm still skeptical that there's going to be an ROI, but let's just wait and see. But in that way, ChatGPT helped to sway my opinion for something that I was on the fence about based upon the numbers that it was able to provide and based upon statistics. And so I was going to say that was helpful for me, but maybe it wasn't helpful. So we'll wait and see. But I asked ChatGPT, I'm doing a podcast on AI for Reiki business. How can Reiki business owners use ChatGPT? So I've talked with you about the ways I've used it. And I thought, this would be fun to ask ChatGPT how to use ChatGPT for Reiki business owners for content in my podcast. So here is what ChatGPT said. Of course, create blog posts and articles, social media posts, write informative and inspiring newsletters for subscribers, keyword research for marketing and SEO, so identify relevant keywords for blog posts and website content to improve search engine rankings, SEO optimization for better visibility, email templates for client communication, so create personalized email templates for responding to inquiries, and chatbot integration, so a chatbot on your website. Now, I want to say something here about this recommendation from ChatGPT to create personalized email templates for responding to inquiries. I think it's better for us to show up in our emails as ourselves. And I think it's better for us to respond to clients as ourselves. I will tell you that if you email me, I am the one responding. No AI is responding for me. I am responding. And to me, that's important because I believe it's important for us to be showing up authentically in our Reiki business. And to me, responding to emails myself is authentic. And writing my content myself is authentic. Writing my own emails is authentic. And so I think that ChatGPT can be helpful if maybe we might struggle with wording or the quote unquote right words to say, but what does that even mean, right? But rather, if you find yourself struggling to respond to someone and to come up with the right words and how to phrase something, yes, ChatGPT can be helpful, but what might be more helpful is to call upon Reiki, practice self-Reiki, increase your compassion, increase your capacity for empathy. That might be more helpful than just simply saying, ChatGPT, how do I respond to this? Because I believe that kind of skill is, I was going to say essential, crucial in our lives. And so I think there is a danger with relying on ChatGPT to do our work for us is that it decreases our level of focus and attention and compassion and empathy, and it turns our humanness, in a sense, into an automatron, a bot. And so if you sent me an email and I just copied and pasted what ChatGPT suggests that I say, am I really seeing you? Am I really connecting with you? Am I really honoring you as a human being? And I think in some ways, the answer is no. I'm not truly seeing you or honoring you or respecting you and your humanness. You know, there will probably come a time with AI when my AI is talking to your AI and we are not communicating with one another. And so my AI is answering the questions that your AI is emailing me. That absolutely, indeed, can be our future. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know. But what I do believe, I don't know this, of course, but I do believe that the use of ChatGPT kind of makes us a little bit more dumb when it comes to that human element. It doesn't allow us to really truly reflect on the nuance. It doesn't allow us to really truly put ourselves into someone else's shoes and to respond with greater compassion and honor that is coming from our own hearts. And so I do think that while ChatGPT is so very helpful for all kinds of things, like all of the above that I mentioned. Of course, ChatGPT also mentions, oh, you can use me for curriculum design and resource compilation and scheduling and reminders and document drafting and meditation scripts and market research and all kinds of things. Even client support, like personalized advice, offer personalized advice and support to clients. This, I think, is a drawback to using ChatGPT too much or in ways that allow the personalized advice to really not be personalized because it's not coming from us as a person. And so while these tools are really helpful, I really want to encourage us to reflect deeply on the ways in which we use them and to continue to be mindful of doing so with authenticity and honesty in our Reiki business and in our lives too. You know, I don't think ChatGPT is a bad thing. Obviously, I'm using it more and more, and I'm using it in very focused ways. And yet, there are some ways that I just will not use ChatGPT. And there are ways that even while I use it, it's important to me to continue to maintain authenticity. I think there's a danger in allowing ChatGPT to think for us, and especially when it comes to human interactions and relationships, particularly in our Reiki business with our clients. So, Do you use ChatGPT in your Reiki business? How do you use ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever other AI product that you might use? How do you use it in your Reiki business? Join us in the Reiki Business Collective and tell us all about it at facebook.com/groups/Reiki Biz. Sending so many blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Thanks for tuning in to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend. Learn more about the Build Your Reiki Business program at standingstoneshealing.com/build. Sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business.